I'm Anil Kumar, and now I will discuss with you this question on transformation where the student lost 1 mark. And I'd like you to make a note of this so that you don't lose marks in this question, right? So here is the question. The idea of showing you the test paper is that you should realize that these are real test problems and you should not be making the mistakes which have been committed earlier in a test problem, right? But these are from the students who have scored 90 plus marks. So they do make mistakes sometimes. And if you take care of those mistakes, you can definitely get close to 100. Now the question here is, for y equals to minus 0.5 x minus 3 plus 1, state the interval of increase and decrease, and behavior, x intercept and y intercept, right? So let's figure out how to find each one of these values. So we are given a function which is y equals to minus, I prefer to write half instead of 0.5, x minus 3 plus 1, right? So we can roughly sketch the graph here, right? That's one part. Or we can actually calculate all these things and then sketch it. So let's make a rough sketch first. Minus means that the absolute function, which is normally like this, right? So this is to start with. Let me start with a light color. Okay, so let me use a light color to start with, and then we will do rest of the functions. So we have this absolute function, right? Now what we are doing here is we are transforming this function. So minus means it gets reflected, and half means it will get vertically compressed. So it will be kind of like this, right? So it will be kind of like this, wider, right? And then it is moved 3 units to the right and 1 unit up. So basically this function will move 3 units to right and 1 unit up, right? So let us say that is the final position of the absolute function, right? So this point is 3 units to the right and 1 unit up, and that's the absolute function which we have. And now we can answer all our questions, correct? So the first one is interval of increase and decrease. Now as you can see, interval of increase is from where to where? Increase is from minus infinity to 3, right? Never include negative infinity or positive infinity. So the x values are this. The interval of decrease is, whenever you're writing increase and decrease, you have to see from left to right. So if you see from left to right, it is increasing and then decreasing after 3. Then we have end behavior. End behavior means what happens when x approaches positive infinity or when x approaches negative infinity. If x approaches positive infinity, y is approaching negative infinity, right? So y is approaching negative infinity. When x is approaching negative infinity, y is again approaching negative infinity, right? So that is the end behavior. X intercepts and the y intercepts. For y intercept, let me do y intercept first. Means x value is 0, right? So we can calculate the value of x, or rather y, when x is 0. So let's substitute x as 0 here. So we get y equals to minus half of, if x is 0, absolute value of minus 3. Let me write 0 minus 3 plus 1 first, right? So in that case we get minus half of 3 plus 1, correct? That means minus 1.5, correct? Minus 1.5 plus 1 is minus 0.5. So y-intercept for us here is minus 0.5. Now let us calculate x-intercept. Now x-intercept is when y is equals to 0, right? So if I substitute y as 0 here, then what do I get? Minus half. And we need to find the value of x now, right? X minus 3 plus 1. So we can bring it on this side, then multiply by minus 2. So we get 1 equals to minus half times this, then multiplying by minus 2 will give us minus 2 equals to absolute x. I should say minus and minus becomes plus. Or let me do 2 steps. I was jumping. Let's say minus 1. So we'll go first. Okay, I'm running out of space. So what I will do is I'll do it here, X intercept. Okay, so we have our function. So we'll put y as equals to 0 minus half absolute value of x minus 3 plus 1. So first step is take 1 on this side. So we have minus 1 equals to minus half absolute value of x minus 3. Then when you multiply by minus 2, it becomes plus 2. So we get 2 equals to absolute value of x minus 3. Now plus 2 absolute value of x minus 3 means that x minus 3 could be plus or minus 2. Do you see that? So from here you get x minus 3 is equal to either plus 2 or minus 2. Minus 2, right? If it is plus 2, then x value is how much? Plus 2 plus 3, 5. So we get this value as 5. If it is minus 2, then we have x equals to minus 2 plus 3, which is 1. You see that? So we get two values for x depending on this. So we can write x is equals to 2 plus 3 equals to 5, or it is equals to minus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 1. So these are two possible values of x depending on which one you take first, right? So absolute value of minus 2 is also 2. That is the reason, and that is why you get these 2 points. So at times you could do a mistake here, right? That's why I showed this calculation very clearly. So in an absolute function, you should be expecting in such case 2x intercepts, and that is how you should be calculating, right? I hope that makes sense. Thank you and all the best.